Okay, so now that we have the mirror removed from the car, we are going to go through the disassembly of the mirror and all its components and just have a closer look at how they all work, how the power function mirror actually adjusts itself, and how all the pieces go back together. So this mirror is from a 1990 Honda Prelude SR. Here in Canada, that's the equivalent of the SI. So this is a fixture that is for the 88 through 91 USDM power adjustable mirror. It is not a power folding mirror that came out in other parts of the world. The USDM market didn't get that, but these are power adjustable. So let's have a quick look at the mirror and then let's start taking it apart. So normally what I like to do is first I depin this connector, and if you're concerned about forgetting what it is, normally I'll label with a Sharpie on the side of it, yellow and blue, but if you look at it, if you want to get a view of it so you can see, if the connector is facing up like that, you can see that you have the blue wire on the left, the brown joined wires in the center, and the yellow wire on the right. All right, now to depin these, because most people are going to try and rip these, there's first a foam piece that comes off, and that one comes over there really easily. And that's just the insulator that holds the mirror up against the side of the car. But the second one is more of a seal, and it's a rubber component. And when you peel it off, you're going to find that this piece does not fit over that connector. Now you probably could just rip it off, and that's probably what people will do, but it really doesn't take a lot of time to depin these. So inside these clips, all you need to do, you can get an actual depinning tool, but honestly a set of picks works really well. Take the wire, move it back and forth a little bit, push it forward just to take some of the tension off of the retaining clip that's holding it. Stick your depinning tool or just one of your picks in. You're going to depress the little tooth that's holding it and then pop it out. And if you look close enough, if you haven't seen these, so right there, you can see that little rectangle. That is where it is being retained inside the housing of that connector. And there's just a little piece, you push this through and depress it to pop it out of that. And then you can just pull it out. And then we'll do the brown one. Just stick it in there and then just pop it out. You shouldn't have to force it. If you're really having to tug on it, you're not getting it right. Okay, and that's inside the clip. And you can't really see them, but deep down inside there, there's these little tangs that pop up and pop down, and you are just depressing the tang in order for it to pop out of that retaining hole in the connector. All right, so now we got that off and we have all the wires out, they will easily slide through here. This will also make it easier once we get to the point where we're taking the mirror apart. We are going to have to pull those off. It's just a fact. So there we go. We've pulled that off. That's out. Sometimes if you see, I've put a mark on the casing, the sheathing, and a mark here just to align them and get them in the same place when we put it back together. It's really not the end of the world, but sometimes it's helpful to have. So next we are going to pull off the bracket that mounts to the actual car and then attaches to the mirror. So this is just 3 Phillips like machine style screws, fine threads. There are only 3 of these ones on here. We'll go over all the different screws that are going to come out of this, but there's just 3 of these ones and they're different than all the other ones. So there's the 3 of them. We are just going to put them off to the side so we can keep track of everything. And then this housing just slides up. You can straighten out the wire, push it through. This is where taking that connector off helps. It slides right out and you have this piece. We'll take this piece apart just quickly so you can see. You don't have to, but it as well is held by 3 screws, 1, 2, 3. It is simply the plastic trim piece that you see from the exterior, as well as the actual metal bracket underneath that holds it to the car and secures it. The inside metal bracket is made from metal. Okay, so there's 3 more of these little screws. And let's take a look at those. Those are like that. And those are also different than anything else. So that's a pair of 3. Well, it's a group of 3, not really a pair of 3. So we're gonna pull those out, put them over here, and then this simply pulls apart like that, and you have these 2 pieces. So on this piece, you have some writing. I don't know if you can see that. It says LHL 2203. And that is the plastic bracket. These normally hold up pretty good. These don't normally crack or break. When you look at this, the only part that's ever exposed when you fold your mirror is right in here. So sometimes painting these, hitting them with some spray paint looks good, but actually I've redone them in powder, so I'm going to show you that when we do the reassembly of this piece. And on this as well, I don't know if you can see it, but it says LHL 2203. And that is the bracket. It goes together just like that to hold the mirror. So I'll put this off to the side. All right, moving on. So now we have the mirror in front of us. So there is provisions in the manual. There's very little information, honestly, about how to disassemble this. But they do talk about removing the mirror. I don't recommend you try and remove the mirror the way they recommend. You are going to end up breaking one of the clips in behind. If you do, then you're one of the lucky ones, but at this age, they tend to break rather than come apart. So in order to get this open, you're going to have a couple of screws on the outside. So you are going to have the one in the end here, and there's 2 screws like this, of this size. And then there's one in the bottom. Now these just screw the plastic housing together. There's some other ones as well, but those 2 look like that. They are different than all the others. And we'll just put those over to the side. Okay, then after that we've done that, deep down in that little hole in the recess, there is the retaining screw that holds this mirror in place. I have another one on the bench to show you. So that's the inside piece. That is what we are trying to get out. That holds this all in place. And these are the 2 clips that attach it to the metal support bracket behind it. It's also the most common place to find a break. And it's why most people's mirrors rattle and jump and bounce. And I'm going to do another little video about how we can fix this. But that's what we're taking out right now, is that screw right there. So this one's a little more challenging to get. Often I find if you take a smaller Phillips screwdriver, stick it in, look at it, and then hold the mirror upwards, and then spin it out. Spin, 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 spin. It should drop out. Sometimes it gets stuck in there. Don't worry if it does. Oh, there it comes. That's the one retaining screw from there, and we'll just put that one off to the side. Then, as you saw, there was those clips. Sometimes it's easy if you just push. If you push on the wires up, it'll pop it out. It comes out like that. Okay, and then in there you can see where that wire is fed through. Again, if you didn't pull that connector, you will never get this out. So we're gonna push this through, and now we have the housing and we have the mirror. So this is the other assembly, and as you can see, this one is broken as well right there. It is often the case. A lot of these have this issue, and you'll start to get that bouncing mirror. So this goes right like that. Yeah, okay. Okay, you're probably not going to need to know any of this, but why not? So this is the back of the mirror, this is the motor portion, and this is the mirror itself. They can be separated. I'm going to separate them just to show you what's in there, but really there's no need to do anything with this. If it's functioning, just leave it. This is generally the cause of the issue, is fixing this, and we're going to fix that with some epoxy. There's a little pin and a washer. This retains the motor and the screw housings to the actual mirror. So if we were going to pull this apart, I would recommend getting a pair of needle nose pliers, grab the end, pop it up. It's a little tiny bit of pressure, and there is the washer and the pin, and it's just held in there by some pressure. So we're going to put those off to the side, and we'll show you this. Now this assembly is just a blade connector that goes through there, and then on two sides there are two little cups right there, and they attach to the motor here. And these have some screws in there that adjust these cups. These little tangs on the end of that, they ride on the screws, and they will pull in and out or side to side. And so here is the mirror with just those cups. Now, you can see this one has a broken tang right there. Not the end of the world, but something to watch for. So in here as well, it's important if you are going this far, this is like a ball bearing inside of a socket, part of this assembly. We're gonna pop it out. If you wanna pop it out, again, needle nose, really long ones are the best. Slide it underneath there. I'm going to move it to the side, and then you're going to rock your needle nose pliers up, and it'll pop out while you're supporting the mirror. So I'm just going to, just like that. So when you pop it out, you're going to get this. And as you can see, there is a little alignment tang right there. Make sure you line that up. When you put this back together, you can see right there is where it goes in that socket. If you do not, you will break it. Of note, obviously you can see some of the markings on this one. It just has an L for left, and then FLAT, and then 2207. I don't see any other markings, but maybe they'd be significant to someone. But that is the basic mirror. You can pop this one out too the same way if you feel so inclined. There you go, and then the mirror just pivots around on there, and that retains it into the body. So there we go. So that's the basic mirror like that. Now, to put it all back together, you're gonna take these cups, you're gonna line them up, and sometimes this is hard to do, and you're going to be tempted to push on these little tangs that come out. Don't do that, you'll break them. You're gonna wanna get yourself a punch, and I think this one was, it's a 3/16. Take the 3/16 punch, put it inside of that, then take it, line it up, a little bit of pressure, pop, and it goes, good to go. Same thing, take it, put it inside, find that little alignment nub, line it up, push it, and it goes. That will keep you from breaking off these little tangs. Don't push on them, you will break them. They are old. Now that they're in, you can take a look at the motor. You can take apart these housings, and there's a whole bunch of gears and such inside. Maybe I'll do a separate video for that, because I really don't think it's relevant right now, and I've already made too long of a video before, so we're gonna try and make this a little shorter. But I still want to make sure I get all the content in. I think I'll just make more videos that are shorter than super long ones. So we'll take one of these apart in another quick video. But basically you have the two motors here and here. They're basically attached to a screw, and they grab those tangs on the other part of the mirror, and they pull it in and out and side to side. And then you have the alignment little tang in the center. So this also has some numbering on it. It says 3130 REL. And it has 4 screws that hold together. It has the wires, and that is the little motor. And that is the broken piece, which we're also going to showcase fixing that. Maybe I'll take this apart and show you how to fix this in the same video. But for now, this, you just have to line back up with that. Now, these little rubber things can be a pain in the butt, but just, you can hear it clicking in. That's just those little tangs running their way down that threaded portion, because that is what makes your mirror go in and out. And so it's grabbed it, it's got it. Then all you gotta do is look for that little alignment blade. And all we're gonna do is take the little washer, put the washer on top, grab the little pin. You can grab the end of the pin. You're gonna have to push a little bit down, pull it in. Once you get it started, take the pliers off, and then just push the end. It has a stop, so you don't have to go that far. The stop's right there. Push it down until it stops, and there you go. You've put the mirror motor assembly back together, and that is how you do that. Okay, now we're going to move on to the housing that holds the mirror in place, and it consists of the plastic outer shell and some aluminum parts inside. So first, what we are going to do is take a Phillips screwdriver, and at this point you can access the other screws that remove or separate the plastic from each other. So we're going to take out 1, 2, 3, and they just go through plastic to plastic. Now, with those out, this will separate. You can pull out the outer shell. This outer shell, it looks like that inside. There's the 3 screw holes, and it says 2200L for anyone who's interested. It also has a stamping AAS, and that is what it looks like right there. And then the other portion is still attached to the structure, the aluminum piece. So we'll put these off to the side. These screws are coarse thread, and they total 6 of the same style. The ones that go through the aluminum into the plastic and the ones that go through the plastic into the plastic are the same. So you should end up with 6 of them on your table. Now, after that is out, you can pull this piece, rotate it, and slide it out. And then you have the shell, that inner piece of the shell. That's what it looks like that. And then on this as well, it has the markings, stampings AAS 2200L. Put that off to the side. This is the aluminum piece that is part of the structure, and so you have the structure that attaches to the vehicle side, and then this piece which attaches to there, and this is the actual structure piece that keeps everything secure. So this one, often every time I pull them apart, you can see all the oxidation on the aluminum. It gets in between the paint, and the paint starts to just flake off, and it goes everywhere. Other than the fact it looks nasty, it really doesn't hinder the performance of it. Right here, these are the 2 tangs that the mirror is supported by. So it goes on, hooks in there, and then that hole right there is where that one retaining screw comes through and sucks it in. So let's actually show you that. We'll just grab the mirror. So there's the retaining screw, there's the 2 holes that goes on those tangs, and there's the broken one. But when we attach it, it goes right, I don't know if you can see that. You can see there, just slides onto the tang and then slides down, and then it gets pulled down and sucked up against the bottom of the aluminum with that one retaining screw. And we are going to fix that in another video. But for now, that's how that mirror attaches to that. That's why when in the manual it tells you to pry this out of the housing using a cloth and a flathead screwdriver or a pry bar, it is very possible that you can break these off if you don't break the mirror. Taking it apart is always your best option. Once you have it apart, you can control where you're applying that force. So I would recommend taking it apart if you're trying to do a mirror repair. Once we have this piece, we're going to take this apart, and when we put it back together, I will show you the markings as well as the fact that I have blasted it and coated it with powder. But this is the more interesting piece. This is the one that's going to hang up a couple people. There really is no detail in the manual that I have ever found, but essentially you have a spring. These are the powder coated ones I'm going to show in another video. The spring, you have a cupped style washer which goes in the spring like that, and then this retaining clip which slides in right like that and drops in. Now the problem is this is quite hard to get at because there's a fair amount of tension compressing that. It's a pretty tough spring. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. You can do it with a vise, you can do it with a C-clamp. I'm going to do it in my arbor press because it is about the easiest way to do it. The issue is that you have to apply pressure on either side of the cup without applying pressure to the actual retaining clip. Now, I again have made a tool for this, and like I showed in my other videos, I am all about making little tools. It's always good to have some sockets. So here is a socket. I think this one is a 7/8, 15/16, anywhere in there. 7/8, 15/16 is about the right size, and I mean there's some variation from socket brand to socket brand. But essentially what you do is mark it on the socket and then slice it open so that you can get that in there. And then what we're going to do, this allows you to apply pressure on the sides without applying pressure to the retaining clip, which will allow you to compress the spring. Once the spring is compressed, you can pop that clip out. And even with this, it can be tricky, but this is by far the easiest way I know of doing that. I mean, anytime you're dealing with springs, you want to try and control that release of pressure. Anytime you do it without controlling it, you run the risk of having it exploding everywhere. It could hit you in the face, you could lose it. Take a few minutes if you have a socket to sacrifice and make yourself a tool. So that's where we're going to go next. We're going to go over to the arbor press and we are going to remove the spring, the cup, and the retaining clip. All right, on to the next part of this. So now we are going to disassemble what is arguably the more challenging part of this little project. We're going to separate the two parts that are responsible for your mirrors being able to fold in and out and lock into the different positions when you fold them. So this is the spring part and the cup, washer, and the retaining clip that we talked about earlier. And we have them set up here with the arbor press. This is arguably the easiest way to go about doing this. You can do it with a C-clamp or a vise. A vise is decent, it's not bad, but the arbor press is definitely the best that I have found. So we are going to be using that tool that I showed you quickly earlier. It's just a socket that I've sliced, and it goes over top of that clip and is able to press on the washer so that we can pull that clip out and then relieve the pressure on the spring. Now, you should know there is a fair amount of pressure on that spring. There are some people that are always tempted probably to grab a screwdriver or a pick and try and jam that out. Things will go flying everywhere. You may lose something. There's not a lot to lose, but be careful. As well, you may have something come flying into your face, so put on some safety glasses. All right, let's get this apart. This normally goes pretty easily. So we have this, put it on the bed of the arbor press, take our tool, wind the arbor up, slide it on there, try and get it lined up. This is a little bit harder to do with me looking through the camera, but we'll see how we can. Might take a try or two, get it all aligned. We'll just see if it's in the right spot. And it is. Okay, so let's see if we can zoom in. And if you look right there, you are going to see the pressure that coming off. There you go. You can see the clip lifting. So we're holding the pressure with the arbor. Just going to slide this underneath there, pull that up. Sometimes this is a pain. Just hold it like that. Take our needle nose pliers, go in there, get a hold of it, and there is the clip that holds it all together. It has machine provisions in the lower part of this assembly that alignment is kept in one position. So we'll just put that to the side. And now with the arbor press, because we can control this, watch the spring. There is a fair amount of pressure as we let it go up. Like there's a good amount of travel. And there it comes off. So take out the tool, put that there. Maybe we'll zoom out a little bit. And we'll grab the cup washer and we'll just put that down there. And then we'll pull off that spring. And like I said, this is a pretty serious spring. This isn't a weak little spring. So put that over there. Now we're going to grab the two pieces here. Be careful. When these separate, there are 3 little ball bearings I was talking about. Those are what allows you to move the mirror into those set positions when you fold it on the car. So we're just going to slide these apart. And normally they're stuck, normally they're stuck to the top of the aluminum piece. So there's a ball bearing there, ball bearing there, ball bearing there. These will come out of that, but normally they are pretty pressed in and happy inside of that aluminum piece. But I'm going to take them out to show them to you. This is often what is the cause of the mirror to be very sticky, or if it's jammed or it's not folding very nice. This is what needs to come apart so that you can clean out this area and this area, and you can see the provisions where the ball bearing drops in the locked positions for folded in, out, and folded forwards. And this is what controls that movement. So this is what needs to be greased and cleaned if you're having an issue with the mirror not folding properly. So as well, you can see right there, there's one of those machine grooves, and there's one of the other machine grooves. And that's what the clip slides into to hold it into place. I'll just stick it in there, you can have a look. So that's what it does. And there we go. So those are the pieces that are holding this together. And when we put it back together, I am going to do that with some that I have just recently refinished, powder coated, cleaned up, and we'll use those. But this video is simply to show you how to take everything apart and what all the parts and pieces are. So there we go. We have disassembled this part safely. Nothing went flying around. Everyone's safe, and those are all the pieces. All right, let's move on to the next step. Okay, we've made it to the end. So I figured I would put everything on the table so you could see all the parts and pieces that we have taken apart and worked with today. And we'll just go quickly over them just so that you have all the pieces and you haven't lost anything. So we have the metal bracket that bolts to the side of the car. We have the cover, the plastic cover that goes over that. We have the rubber seal, which then goes onto the back of that. And we have the foam isolator pad. Then we have the inner housing, and then we have the outer housing, and then we move on to the actual powered mirror, which has the motor assembly up top, the mirror face down there. We disassembled this by pulling that pin and washer. I put it back together. We looked in behind there and looked at the screws and the little motors and how it moves from side to side and up and down. But if you are going that deep into this mirror, you are probably going to have to get another one to find parts, because those parts do not exist. So you'll probably have to buy another mirror, and hopefully it has what you need. We looked at the most common thing that breaks on these, which is these little clips. And in another video, I'm going to show you how to fix that. But for now, this is the mirror and the motors and the clip that is broken. So we'll put this back down. Now with that, there's the connector, those 3-pin connector. We talked about the wires. There's the connector. Then we just got back from the arbor press. That's one of the pieces that came apart. The spring, the cup washer, the retaining clip, the metal bracket that holds that mirror assembly itself. And then you should have 15 screws, and they should come out in a group of 3, a group of 3, a pair of 2, a singular screw, and a group of 6. And then after that, we have the 3-ball bearings that I talked about. There they are. They are 5 millimeters or approximately 3/16 of an inch. If you get 3/16 of an inch ball bearings, you can use those to replace these. Often, if people are pulling that clip apart in an uncontrolled manner, you will lose some of these. So I figured you'd want to know the size. Okay, that pretty much brings us to the end. So that is the disassembly of a 1990 Honda Prelude SR mirror. It is a power adjustable mirror. It is not the power folding mirror out of Japan. Most of the USDM, all the USDM market had just a power adjustable mirror. It did not have a power folding mirror. You probably won't come across them. They're very rare. But this is the power adjustable mirror. So we've had a good look through it. It is basically from 88 to 91. You can use this video for, and you probably can use it for many other Honda mirrors, as they do come apart in a very similar way when I've taken them apart. But this is specifically for the 1990 Prelude, or from 88 to 91. All right, there's all the parts and pieces. I hope you have enjoyed the time and looking inside of this mirror with me and how to take it apart and hopefully make your life a little easier. In the next video I plan to do on the mirrors is the reassembly of all these parts, show you how to put it all back together. I will show you the parts that I've refinished and restored, and we'll get it all back together, and then in another video we will actually put it on the vehicle. So thanks for spending some time with me. All the best, and keep those classic Hondas rolling.